Hello and welcome to A Young Man's Guide to Life, podcast 8. We're here today again with Darren Mellor for the monthly mental health check-in. Hi, Dan.
Hey Steve, how you doing?
Oh, yeah, good, thank you. Again, that was a very calm, hey, Steve.
Just
After
like
my
to calm it down a bit.
balance it out after me being hype. So, I asked you, we spoke on Friday, didn't we? And I asked you
Yep.
what you're doing at the moment, and you're between jobs. So tell us about that. So you're not at work today. You're just relaxing, right?
Yeah,
Trying.
dossing, whatever you want to phrase it, right?
Yeah.
Skiving. Nah, but yeah, prioritised having a week off between gigs. It's been 2 years in my last role, and it's been fairly intense. Lots
Yeah.
of transformation and change, and lots of like new teams being formed, and norming, forming, storming, all that fun stuff, and
Stress.
usual stuff. Go lives going on at the minute. We're launching new products in the next month, so it's been really busy.
Mm.
Escalations, issues. It never stops, right? So yeah, I wanted to sort of switch off, reset, recharge, do something else which isn't work, kind of then go back into work, sort of re-energized, back on full capacity, really. Because I feel otherwise I'd be kind of half baked, and my head would not be in the game, and I'd be like listening but not taking it in.
Yeah.
So I want to have that fresh sort of energy. And there's a lot of negativity sometimes around some of the previous stuff you might have been doing. So I just
Yeah.
want to kind of just sort of take the good stuff, because
Hmm.
there's a lot of good stuff, and kind of sort of have some time to sort of just do something else, really, which isn't like a lot of hours of work each
Cool.
day and week.
So you got a week off. Is it enough?
Now we're saying that, weren't we? I don't think it
Yeah.
is. I think there's definitely, I think 2 weeks would be ideal. But because I'm staying in the same place and annual leave
Yeah.
limits,
Can't use it
I
all up.
had to kind of stick with a week. Yeah. So it's definitely better than a lot of people get. A lot of people go back to back on jobs, right? Don't get a choice.
Yeah.
So remind myself of that gratitude-wise and stuff. But yeah, I
Cool.
think I'll just have to be disciplined to make sure I don't lose the week and sort of sign up to do too many things, which is something I've got previous with,
Yeah. Me too. Me
as you
too.
have. Yeah.
That's hard. Well, it's good to have breaks between things because I think the other thing we talked about was having breaks between jobs if they're stressful, even stressful weeks, situations. We don't do enough of that these days, and you got to like put it in your diary. You got to put wedges of time in between stressful things to get over them and to be useful again. Otherwise, you're just running from battle to battle. You're just going to burn out, right? Surely. And and we're talking from experience. It's happened to me a couple of times. Happened to you. We talked about that in the first podcast.
Yeah.
I think it's super important. The other thing is I don't think we get any breaks in the daily job because the good thing about us being Gen X/millennials is we walked or caught the bus to uni. You do your studies. You walk to the library. You do your thing. You'd walk to your job, do your job, go catch the bus, go home. Each of these things had a blob of time in between them, and we didn't really have the mobile phones in those days to be able to be texting, playing games, watching videos, researching stuff. I don't think if you really follow somebody's day, and I've done it myself, I've experienced it, taking your phone to the loo, using your phone while you're walking, all of that, you get zero breaks. Everything just blends into one. Especially working from home. If you're working from home doing a job, and you're doing a hobby, and then you're doing a job, and you're scrolling in between, zero breaks, zero like time for everything to just settle down. Nothing.
Yeah, yeah. I've been very guilty of that in the past. Just maxing out every working minute and thinking it's a good thing,
Yeah.
because society will tell you that's a good thing, right? You're being productive, you're multitasking,
Mhm.
you're kind of doing lots of different things. You're making use of every available moment in the day. Whereas, like you're right, when we were kids, we didn't have phones, we didn't have more than 4 TV channels. Teletext was a luxury, not everyone had.
Yeah.
So libraries, opened at limited hours. You didn't have access to information. I was just Googling then, trying to find a book that I'd read, or
Okay.
an abstract I'd read about the importance of taking breaks. So I just put it into Google, but there's that
Nice.
much knowledge on it that
Yeah.
the book's nowhere near
At the
like
top.
the top. Yeah, there's loads of other interesting articles about the importance of breaks, but not the book I'm looking for to quote on this podcast. But nonetheless, it's great that knowledge is out there, but it's kind of, you've got to be so disciplined to kind of go, no, it's not important to kind of do another thing at the minute. I'm kind of I've had a busy day, probably need to just kind of take a minute just to not do anything.
Mhm.
When we were kids, we had to like be quite innovative all the time because there was bugger all to do. Like
Mhm.
there was nothing to do, so you kind of made up these insane games
Yeah,
as
we did that.
kids because you didn't have much to do. I remember when the Metro came out and you could like get it on a bus or a train. You're like, my
Yeah, that's
God,
right.
like I can fill my time up on the bus. I've got
Mm.
something I can read. I don't have to go and buy a paper. It's like that was like the next step before you obviously got a mobile device with 24/7 news on it.
And
But
everything
you
on
know,
it.
but like just staring out of the window into space. And yeah, I'm not advocating we all do that, but I think we just need to kind of get a moment of like, do you know what, enough's enough. I probably could do another thing now, and I probably
Mm.
could get it done,
Yeah,
but
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 why?
it'll come at a cost. It'll come
It
at a
does.
cost. Whether that cost is the work I do is not my normal standard, and someone will pick a major hole in it, or maybe it'll be you'll get the work done, but tomorrow you'll be kind of like a bit like not in the game, and
Yeah,
you'll make mistakes, or you'll get agitated when something wouldn't normally have got you agitated, and
that's
then you'll
it.
you'll have an emotive big response, and then people are like, oh my God, and then you'll
That's it.
feel really bad about that, and you'll have to apologize, and or you might get sick, or you might just feel overwhelmed, and then start getting negative
Hmm.
about the overwhelm and crap. There's too
I've
much to
had
do.
that.
So I think it's when you start to actually do the numbers on it, the maths. It's like it's insane. Why wouldn't I have like a couple of minutes
Hmm.
every hour, or what? Just 5 minutes a day, where I just force myself to kind of step back and go, wait there. Um, what's the right thing to do with my time? Am I doing too many things? Do I just need to kind of go for a walk, just get some air for 2 minutes, just around the block? Doesn't have to be. I think with breaks, I don't think they have to be very big. I think
No.
from the book I was reading, they really don't. They can just be really, really small, just a couple of minutes. But just forcing yourself to do them is the hard bit, and then I guess then it becomes a habit, and then you'll probably be all right after that point. But at the moment, I'm not in that habit, and I'm very much my default is let's do another thing.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Do you reckon that's why smokers' breaks used to work for smokers? So they used to have smokers' breaks every, I don't know, 1 hour, 1.5 hours, whatever. You're just doing it. You're going outside, standing around, you're just doing nothing, breathing. Imagine if you could do a smoker's break but not actually smoke. Just breathe. Just deep breathing. That would be
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah, because you heard some of the best ideas sometimes come from the sort of
Always.
the coffee break or the fag
Coffee break,
break,
yeah, exactly.
But those sort of moments where you kind of step back and just you're kind of chatting
Mm.
loosely.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
it.
I think we're kind of in search of that at the moment, aren't we? In the modern
I think,
digital age,
I think
I
you're
don't think
right.
we've nailed it, but
Uh,
I think a lot of people are having the same sort of
yeah.
challenge.
Oh, you're right. And I don't know the biology about it, but I just saw a video on TikTok about cortisol and the way that's a stress hormone. And the more you do, basically it's like a hangover or a drug addict. If you keep drinking, the hangover's going to come eventually, right? And I was going to say that hangover will be that reaction of trying to do everything. That break, if you don't take breaks, if you don't take a break or prioritize, I think you said prioritize taking a break. That's what you described this week, right? It will fit forced on you because I think I told you about this weekend, didn't I? We had a Saturday where we went out, lovely day, not bowling. We did trampolining and we did arcades and we did like a dinner out. It was a lovely day, and then Sunday, wiped out. I was just like, I had to have naps in the day. I was like wiped out. I didn't want to go out. Didn't really want to do much. I just kept lying around. I think that was a break that was forced on me because I had a mad busy week at work. I had stuff going on with the book and all the other stuff and went out with the family on Saturday, and then just was like, right, I'm done. So I think my body forced me to have a break on Sunday, and I think that's what's going to happen if you don't have breaks, and that might be what happened to you on the first podcast that we
But
talked
imagine
about.
if Sunday you couldn't have had that break, what would happen
Yeah,
then?
yeah,
Imagine if you had something really cool planned and you couldn't do the thing you actually really want to do your time
yeah.
with
That'd
because
be
you'd
horrible.
burnt it out on the other
Yeah,
stuff.
that's it.
So yeah, the cost is sometimes not worth carrying,
It's
right?
not.
That you probably got away with it a bit on Sunday, but
That was a lucky
yeah,
break. That was a lucky one because it's weird, isn't it? I'm in the mindset. I've inherited a mindset. Everyone thinks it's cool to do loads. Oh, I've got back-to-back meetings. It's almost like a badge of honour, isn't it? And then
yeah,
there's a lot of people say, "Oh, you're a wimp if you need a break. Come on, you should be able to handle it at your level and all this stuff." And then you realise CEOs are completely different to that. They have golf like trips on purpose. That it's part of work. They have AM or PM blocks that are set aside for nothing, not meetings, not anything, and their PAs manage their diaries accordingly. And you realise if you're firefighting like middle management, 100 meetings a day, you can't have the thinking time and the strategic view and the thinking about the whole stuff like a CEO would. So I think to succeed and at that level, people do have a lot of breaks. And I could pull out I did a dissertation on it in my MBA. I could pull it out, but there are things you're supposed to do. They're me time activities, and you've got to identify them for yourself. They're different ones. So even if it's going to a pub, just sitting having a pint on your own, doing nothing, no reading, no nothing, just for half an hour or whatever, that could be your me time. Or going for a walk, or going for a haircut, whatever it might be. It could be random. You probably go on your bike, don't you? Something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But then the quality of the decisions you make, the innovations, the sort of those eureka moments, those shortcuts where you go, yeah, that's exactly what we should do next. They'll be more obvious to you. I think it's been proven, like the book I was reading, like they're talking about loads of evidence where they've got like senior, like people who've like done really well in life, people you've heard of, Steve Jobs and other people. I think they were quoting, but there's many examples whereby you kind of do that and you come up with better decisions, you get things done more quickly because it's kind of counterintuitive in a way. Why would you're having a break, you're kind of stopping. The work stopped, you paused. It's like, well, wait there, you've got to keep moving. But it's like the classic guy chopping trees down in the woods, right, with an axe. If he just keeps chopping the trees down, what's going to happen to the axe? Well, it's going to get quite blunt, isn't it? And then he can keep going. He can keep trying harder and harder. He can get up earlier. He can finish later to try and keep the number of trees being chopped the same each day. But eventually, it's going to start to come down, isn't it? Because he's going to burn out, and to the axe. It becomes blunt, and also is he going in the right direction? Is he heading in the wrong direction because he hasn't stepped back to go, wait there, I don't want to go in that direction because those trees are going to be a nightmare. Better to go in this direction. I think it is counterintuitive, and there is another ping on your phone distracting you with the opposite. So you've got to fight it. One, it's hard to do just without the digital distractions. Two, now we've got them. You've got an encyclopedia on your phone, right, which is insanely clever, and it's got so much power on it, which fits in your pocket, and it's always with you. It's always within reach of you when you sleep. It's right next to you, right? You've got to fight that itch, man. You've got to fight that itch and find what works for you to kind of go, I'm not going to reach for my phone. I'm going to do something else. I'm not going to go to the next meeting. I'm going to schedule 5 minutes between meetings. That's what I'm going to do. And that'll force me to sort of register what's just happened in that meeting, and then go, where am I going next, and then kind of try and flip and do that rather than just jumping back to back without a single moment's gap between the two.
Exactly. It's hard though, isn't it? Because also the new culture, the last few years at least, people check your diary to see if you're free and then put a meeting in, and it's like, and then they expect you to attend it. It's like, well, hang on a minute. I should manage my own diary to say, okay, I've done 3 hours of meetings. I should probably have a break and then do the next one. Otherwise, it's not productive, is it? It's not good.
Yeah, you got to find what works for you. Some people block out their diary, right, to make sure they don't dip into it. So that doesn't work for some people. They end up dipping into it anyway. Other people insist on only having 25 or 55-minute meetings.
That's
so you can't control what someone else schedules, but at least the ones that you schedule, if you make a thing of doing that, then other people will start to go, that's pretty cool. He's doing that for not just for him, he's doing that for everyone else on the call. We can all, and if you actually make a point of finishing, that's the other thing, right? You can schedule it for 25, but if you don't finish on 25, it's irrelevant. And so many people, well, I'm just gonna be lazy about the agenda. We'll chat idly for 10 minutes at the start, and then we'll start talking about the work. It's like, well, you can't get that 10 minutes back. So by keeping people 10 minutes late after a meeting's finished, it doesn't serve anyone. So if you can be that person who finishes their meetings on time, whether you've hit the agenda or not, people will go, this is one of Darren's meetings, we best just crack on, because it's not no matter how important the person is, he's not going to allow them to speak after that sort of 25 minutes or 55 minutes or whatever the end point is. And I've just put a suggestion into my work whereby we have a timer. When you do breakout rooms in Zoom, and you get called back into the main room, and it comes up with a thing, and then you've got no choice. You can't just go, delay going back
Yeah.
to the room. You
Yeah.
have to go back to the room, right? Even though you're halfway through talking. So I said, no, we should set it up centrally so that people don't have to apologise for it and go, because people are too polite and go,
Yeah.
oh, I'll just keep it going. Literally, the timer's counting down, guys. We've got 1 minute left and the call will end. Nothing I can do about it.
That's
It'll force
good.
people to make their points much more sooner
That's it.
and stop that. What do they call it? The hippo effect, the highest paid person in the room. If
Yeah.
they start talking, we can't possibly interrupt them. Like it's irrelevant. It's a system policy, guys. So I'm trying to play with that at the minute.
That's a good idea. I like that. It works with these Zoom calls because it says, right, breakup room ending in 60 seconds. It has a countdown timer. That's good.
but just for the general, because generally just in a normal Zoom, aren't you? That feature's not there, so we're just looking at enabling it where I am at the minute.
Well, one thing I'm going to do is, when you scroll between meetings or scroll, that's not a break. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm just going to go for a walk in the office, and then at home, I don't know, do some chores, like even folding clothes and stuff. It's not the worst thing. Some music on. It's not the worst thing in the world,
not
is
the
it?
worst thing at all. Yeah,
Things
absolutely.
like that. Not too bad.
Yeah, do something one of the things which is quite cool, like stuff which you can't think. Some things you can even when you're folding clothes, you can start thinking and wandering and using your head. But like one of the reasons I do a cold shower is I can't think about anything else.
Of course you can't.
Because it's so bloody horrible and painful, and I don't want to do it. That all my focus for 1 minute is just on that, and obviously there is some benefits afterwards, but that kind of does force you to kind of just step back from the minutiae of life and the things which just kind of constantly come back into your head.
You'll be pleased to know I joined your cold shower brigade this morning. Not actually cold shower, but the plunge pool in the gym. So after a steam or sauna, you go in this plunge pool thing.
Right.
And a mate of mine, Ali, I think you know Ali, he taught me to not jump in or do all the stupid stuff, but literally, if you can turn around and go down the ladder just slowly in, you're forcing your own mind to force yourself past the stuff you don't want to do. And then that helps you when you go into your office and you've got to do. You're
very present, aren't you? Yeah. Obviously, you can jump in. You got no choice, but you're forcing yourself to be.
That's it.
Very, very present. When you step in, you're like, this is cold.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather just jump in, but you're like, no, I'm gonna have to go step by step, and all you're thinking about is that step.
Yeah. Some random bloke with tattoos threw loads of ice in this morning before I went in as well. I was like, what are you doing? Why did you do that? He did it before he even went in. Bit weird. So
yeah, there's a lot of machoism going on with cold showers. It's not real. If you can't see the ice, and also I need a picture for my socials with the ice floating in it.
Yeah.
Because that's really important. But really, cold water is proven to be anything lower than 15 degrees is cold water immersion.
Of course.
You don't. So
it all
15
feels
degrees
shit.
is
We both know that. It's a lot. It's a lot. But yeah, it makes you present, which I like. I think walking's good. You do think. Don't get me wrong. You're going to think about, like you said, the dinner or relationships or things going on. But at least you're out and you're moving and that kind of thing. And that's important as well.
Yeah. There's plenty of stuff out there. I mean, you just got to find what works for you, and it will be different for every person. And you're not going to stick to it all the time. We're all going to, with the best will in the world, we'll have days where we just max out, and maybe we don't get the breaks. But as long as you kind of remember that you did that, and that's okay for a day or so. But then maybe I'll take a break, make a point of doing 5 minutes mindfulness, where I just focus on the breathing for a few minutes with a recorded app, whatever app you might have access to. It's all this stuff's free and available, right? So this is the benefit of the digital age. You've got all this stuff you'd have to pay for in the past, right?
That's it.
It's now there, so it's just using it to your advantage, not letting it use you.
Exactly. I was going to say, you've got to get the discipline. There's so much stuff now. You've got to get the discipline, and that's the difference. But thanks, Daz. I think breaks between trauma, breaks between stressful situations, super important. It's just super important.
Yeah, and even just breaks when you're actually flying. Don't think just because you're flying, you don't break.
Yeah.
Let's maintain this level of
I'm on it. Let's do the next one.
Let's just take a quick break so I can keep this energy up for longer.
Well, it is called resilience and sustainability, because I wrote my thesis on this at uni. I studied all these different CEOs and high-level execs, and worked out what makes them resilient. And then I did a book study. I did a research project to figure out the top 10 things that makes execs sustainable and resilient. And it's all the stuff you mentioned. It's taking breaks, blocking your time out, journaling was in there, mentoring was in there, because you're thinking of someone else. So you're helping someone else. and you're forgetting about yourself. And in helping them, you realise, oh, I know this, and you put things together. I've said journaling mentally. Do you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to pull it out and I'll get the bullet points and I'll show it to you next week because we're almost out of time, actually.
Yeah, sounds good.
Next month. Well, good luck in your new endeavours, and I hope I love this phrase you said earlier. I'm going to say it to you now. I hope you prioritise taking a break this week.
That's it. I will.
Brilliant. Well, thanks, Daz. I will see you really soon. Thank you, Darren, for joining us today on A Young Man's Guide to Life, Podcast 8, monthly mental health check-in. Cheers.
Cheers.
See ya.